Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Fad or Future, the Secrets of Expanding Profitability and Patient Reach. My name is Adam, and today we're joined by Melissa Turner, our fabulous presenter, and she'll be taking it away from here. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Melissa.
Adam, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning if you are on the West Coast like I am. If you are on the East Coast, good afternoon. And if you are somewhere in between, well, probably good morning to you. It is great to be here. Thank you for having me. So today we're going to hit on one of the most important topics you could ever discuss as clinicians, as business owners, and it is the future of dentistry. And there's been a lot of talk recently about the future of dentistry. Now, we only have about 30 minutes or so together, so I'm not going to dive into the weeds as much as I normally would in this situation. So consider our time today as a way to get the synapses firing, as a foundation to get you thinking about what you can do now to make sure that you are successful in the future. So today's course is called Fad or Future, the Secrets to Expanding Profitability and Patient Reach. Here we go. Just a quick little bit about me. I do live in Portland, Oregon with my 2 kids and my wonderful husband. If I'm not talking about teeth or marketing or branding, you will find me in my yard. We live in Inner Portland, but my goal is to have an entirely edible yard. So right now we're growing a lot of things, and so I'll be tinkering in there later this afternoon. I've been in dentistry 20 years as a hygienist. Public facing, you may know me as an influencer, a KOL, a speaker. But what you might not know is that I work on the internal back end of a lot of vendors and product and service companies, helping to grow products, helping with brand strategy, go-to-market strategy, and launching new products. And so what you'll see sprinkled throughout my presentation today are things that are coming down the line, products and services and technology that you might not even know about, that aren't launched yet, but you need to know because it will shape the way that you will practice dentistry. It'll shape the way that you will do the business side of dentistry. So pay attention. We're going to have some fun soon. The companies here on the bottom are companies that I have co-founded, and you'll also hear me talk about those throughout the day as well. Special thank you to Weave for sponsoring me and putting this on. We had a great turnout, and then for those of you that will be listening later, we hear that that's where the fun really is, the on-demand version. So thank you for joining us today, wherever you are. Please know that I do have ongoing relationships with companies that you will be hearing about today: Sealant Consulting Group, Patterson Dental, OnDM, and some others. If you have any questions about my relationships with them or how I work with them, please feel free to reach out. Here we go. Fad or Future, the secrets to expanding profitability and patient reach. One of the ongoing themes in any course that I present is always the future of dentistry. It's always the story of dentistry. Because one of the lessons I have learned in my years is that you can't understand the future without understanding where we've been in the past and without understanding who you are today. So I love opening with this slide because it's hashtag truth right here. The story of dentistry. In the past, dentistry was a bit barbaric, right? We all know this. Dentists would make house calls, kind of like the hairstylist, the hairdresser, and we would use mallets and chisels and fire to fix people's mouth, to treat their disease. Fast forward 50, 100, however many years, and on the right here, this is how we want dentistry to be portrayed today. Happy, perfect teeth, pastel colors. Right now, we even have teeth that can brush themselves, apparently, and they have smiles and arms, right? So this is a huge juxtaposition in the story of dentistry, where we were and where we are now. The problem is our patients still think of dentistry like the barbaric end of things. And sometimes in dentistry, we still have to use these tools, right? How many times do we have to break out a mallet or bleach or things like this? And we try to hide it from the patient so they don't see, right? It's still a very rudimentary, fundamental industry, but this is the story of dentistry. So we're going to talk about what has changed, what is changing in the future, and what's happening right now to change the industry even long-term in the future. So what is dentistry today? According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, today in America, we have 146,000 dentists, 214,000 hygienists, and 360,000 assistants. Now that's almost 1 million people right there. And this doesn't even include the lab technicians, administrative personnel, the founders, the inventors, the educators. It doesn't include the unlicensed dental assistants. So we're probably looking at an industry that's close to 2 million people large just in America. This is who we are today. And just a little side note here, if you're wondering about labor wages and hourly wages, do yourself a favor and don't ask on Facebook what everyone's getting in your area. Go to this website. You can narrow it down by city and even locale in the city and find out what everyone's been getting paid. Now, you'll also see on this, I have dental therapists. Because we're talking about the future of dentistry, I have to talk about dental therapy. And I know for some of you, this might cause a little fear or kind of like, I don't know, inside of you, like, oh, we don't need dental therapists. And that's fine. You're allowed to think like that. That's great. But let me just give you a little bit of the history and what a dental therapist is, because I found that most people who don't understand what a dental therapist is are the ones that are like, okay, I don't know if we need this. I don't know why I would ever hire a dental therapist. I was privileged enough, probably about 10 years ago, to move to Minnesota. And it was right when the first dental therapists in Minnesota were finishing their educational careers, curriculums, and being implemented into clinical practice. And what I saw was an amazing thing happen. The dental practices that hired these dental therapists could increase their bottom line. They increased efficiency. They increased their patient base. It was fantastic. What you may not know is outside of the US, most other countries use dental therapy, and it's a huge part of their industries. The US is just a little behind the times on this. But right now we have probably a third to a half of states in the US who have some kind of discussion or legislative action pending for dental therapy. So a dental therapist is not a hygienist. A dental therapist can be dual licensed as a hygienist if they so desire. Most dental therapists take about 50 of the most common procedures that a dentist can do, and that's what they specialize in. And most times, dental therapists also have to maybe see 50% public health community, public health patients, that kind of a thing. So that's what a dental therapist is. We're not going to spend much more time on that. But as we talk about the future of the industry, this is going to be something that a tool that you can use to grow your practice. This is going to be something that a tool that you can use to reach more patients. And it's really up and coming. So if you have any questions about dental therapy, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. So where is dentistry going? That's the question of the day. Every course I do has something to do with the future of dentistry. JFK. This is one of my favorite quotes from him. He says, "Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future." And as clinicians, as business owners, sometimes it's difficult to embrace change. But we are living in an era that dentistry has never before seen. And it's important now that maybe we can't yet embrace the change, but at least if we can identify the changes that are coming and that have come and that are happening, that will help us in our businesses. That will help us in our careers. So for the 2 decades that I've been in dentistry, there have been countless things that we knew were coming down the line, predictions that everyone was making. These things are going to be changing in the future. We know they're coming. So I've listed 4 of them. We're going to talk through 4 of them today. And then there's a 5th one that nobody expected. So if we can identify these changes, that will help us move forward and be successful in the future as a clinician and as a practice owner. So the first change is technology. Duh, we don't even have to spend any time here. We know that one little code change in code will completely change an industry, right? We know that AI, robotics, they're coming down the line. They are here. Technology is amazing. One thing to note about technology is you don't need to embrace all technology as a practice owner, but just embrace the ones that work for you. And so it's my job to help you understand some of these technologies that are coming down the line. Number 2, prevention as a driver. This is another change that we knew was coming, but now it's even more prominent. It used to be that patients would come to the dentist because they were in pain. The business models that most of our dental practices are built on a model of disease. Let's fix the disease. But that is changing because now patients want to prevent disease, because now companies have so many different types of prevention products. And you would think that decay wouldn't be rampant anymore, but it still is. We'll touch on that later. But it used to be that disease was where it's at, and now everything is changing to prevention focused. And I'll tell you too, oral systemic link is having a comeback. There's big companies that will be putting out initiatives soon about oral systemic link. Initiatives not just to dentistry, it'll be to their entire consumer base. So exciting things coming down the line with that as well. And this is another one I don't need to spend too much time on. More women are graduating dental school now than men. And for what that's worth, it's inherently going to change the industry. And we knew this was coming, and the industry itself is already predominantly female. So what this means is more females will be practice owners, will be executives, will sit on boards, will be the decision makers. What I wouldn't give in my clinical day to end the day when the school ends so I can go get my kids, right? These are the kind of changes that might happen in the future. Your guess is as good as mine. But right now, more women are graduating dental school than men. And my favorite, number 4, the 4th thing that we knew was coming for a long time was the millennials. Hello, millennials. I am one of them. Right now, the millennials are becoming the decision makers. Right now, the millennials are the major workforce, labor force. Right now, millennials are bringing their kids into your dental practices, and they are the future of your patient base. Now, millennials, we all know, have very distinct characteristics. And one of them is that we remember life without the internet. I think I was in 6th grade when our class first dialed up to the internet. I don't know what we were going to do on it, but it didn't work. And so we had to do it another time. Nobody knew what to do with the internet in practical life settings for the first couple of years. But boy, how far we've come. The millennials are also the first generation to be babysat by the television. And this is a huge point when you are dealing with millennials as your staff and as your patients. Because how many hours of commercials did millennials sit through between the ages of 0 and 10? Now, this hadn't happened before. And because we saw advertisements and commercials, because we sat there and read the cereal box every single day, what that means is that we feel safe as a consumer. We want to be marketed to. Marketing is a millennial's love language. And I'll tell you this, if there's a business that's not marketing to me as a millennial, my red flags start to go up. I say, why aren't you marketing? Why am I not your consumer? Don't you want me? Do I trust you? And so in dentistry, as millennials are now becoming the rise of the workforce, the rise of the decision makers, if we can learn to tweak our marketing and allow our patients to actually be the consumers that they are. And I know this was kind of something in the past that a lot of people didn't like to talk about. Your patient is your patient. But right now, your patients want to be consumers. And so it's very important if you want to be successful in the future, to kind of switch your marketing, switch your mindset to allow your patients to be consumers. And I'll tell you this too. If you begin to tweak your mindset like that, you will retain your millennial staff and your millennial patients as well. Labor, we just have to do a sidebar here, but labor cost, labor force, it's the cost of it is rising. It's the biggest item on your P&L. And there's only so much you can do with that as we're heading into the recession. But what you can do is try to retain your staff. And if you have millennial staff, and here's how you try to retain it, you create a team culture and you create a workplace wellness initiative. This is how you can retain the millennials that work for you. I know this because I am one. This is what I want. The problem with dentistry is we all say we have a great workplace culture. But I'll give you a little anecdote here. In my career, I've worked in probably over 100 different dental offices across the United States, temping, short-term, long-term, and there's only maybe 2 or 3 that I would ever want to go back to that had a healthy workplace environment over these last 20 years. And I know those of you that have worked in multiple offices, you understand this, the associates, the temps, you understand this. And so while we don't need to be like a Silicon Valley startup and have sleep pods and beer on tap and ping pong tables, we do need to create a better environment for our employees. Do you have team handbooks? Do you have paid time off and benefits for your part-time workers? Do you make your employees clock out when the patients don't show up? Do you have a lunchroom that you can all sit together and eat over lunch? These are things that are very important. And in 2021, Fortune magazine came out with a list of the best big companies to work for. And granted, this was over the pandemic, but these employees at Hilton said they felt a sense of belonging. Hilton focused on the team. They had a community impact. They showed support. Marriott was welcoming, inclusive. Can our employees say this about us? And if not, why not? So technology, prevention, more women graduating, and millennials, those are the 4 things that we understood were going to change dentistry in the future. The problem is they're all happening at once. They're all happening within the last 24, 36, within this span of 4 years here. All of these changes are happening, and it's creating a completely different paradigm shift, completely different story of dentistry than we've ever lived before. And this is why it's important to identify these changes. Even if we feel like we can't do anything about them right now, we need to identify them. The 5th thing that no one knew was going to happen was that the consumer changed. Our patients changed. The pandemic changed our consumer. The pandemic changed us. Right now, our patients, our consumers, are asking for 3 things. They want transparency from us. They want convenience, and they want flexibility. Before the pandemic, some of your patients wanted these things, some. After the pandemic, it leveled the playing field, and now all of your patients want transparency, convenience, and flexibility. I mean, just take yourself out of clinical mode and think about yourself in your regular life, in your personal life. These are the things that you expect when you go to the grocery store, the mall, when you buy something online, when you go to your kid's school. You expect flexibility, you expect convenience, you expect transparency. So how in dentistry, how can we provide these things to our patients? The good news is there are answers, but a lot of it is based off of a mindset change. As a clinician, as a business owner, we need to kind of change our mindset, and that will help a lot. 35% of bridge millennials and younger patients are willing to switch healthcare providers to find better digital healthcare management tools. What digital healthcare management tools are you using in your dental practice? Do you have online payments? Do you have online scheduling? Do you have a way besides the phone that we can contact you? What do you have? What are you using? How can dentistry be more convenient, be flexible, and be transparent? Take a moment and look at this slide. This is the future of dentistry right here. Granted, this is the future of all of us, even outside of dentistry. But what do you see? Words like automation, delivery, remote, virtual, mobile. These are the words that are coming to mind when I look at this slide. And when we think about retaining our patients for the future, when we think about getting new patients each month in our practice, when we think about helping our patients understand their own health and take charge of their own health, this slide, these images, these are the tools that are going to get us there in the future. I do a lot of work with mobile dentistry and teledentistry. We're going to take just 5 minutes here to dive into that so that you can understand that these are tools you can use to grow your practice and be successful in the future. If you're looking to grow your practice, the first thing you need to do is add a virtual arm to your practice model. I mean, if you can get to the patient right in the palm of their hands, they sleep with this, they put this in their pocket. If you can get to the patient, why wouldn't you, right? It's not hard to add a virtual arm to your practice. It's not difficult to add a mobile or portable arm to your practice. Your patients are asking for these things. And I'll tell you this, if you're looking to grow your practice, by adding a virtual arm and a mobile arm, it'll be a lot less overhead than acquiring another practice, than doing de novo, than adding on square footage to the practice that you have right now. Every morning, I start to the day after the kids go off on the school bus. I sit on my front porch and drink my coffee, and I read paper magazines. I love the look and feel and smell of a freshly printed paper magazine. And in June, I was sitting on my porch, and I read something, and I said, hallelujah, because I was reading Fortune magazine, the June-July issue of Fortune. And in it, they were talking about where big healthcare is going. CVS, United, these multi-billion-dollar international healthcare companies. And the page said this: care delivery is the next big space for big healthcare. Care delivery. This is what we're talking about today. If you want your practice to be more transparent, flexible, and convenient to your patient, this is one of the easiest ways you can do that. So what is care delivery? Well, in 2017, a group of the teledentistry pioneers, we came together and we started the American Mobile and Teledentistry Alliance. And we coined the term alternative care delivery models. And that's an umbrella term. It doesn't mean much, except it means mobile dentistry, portable dentistry, virtual dentistry, remote patient monitoring. It means AI. It means chatting with your patient, texting with your patients, video chatting with your patients. All of that goes under alternative care delivery models. And all of that is a bit outside the box for dentistry, even today. The latest research says about 30% of dentists use teledentistry in some way, shape, or form. And that will be increasing, and we'll talk about why. Every March, then, we come together at the National Mobile and Teledentistry Conference. If you want to know how to get started, if you're confused as to what if teledentistry or portable dentistry or mobile dentistry is for you and how to incorporate it into your brick and mortar, if you're confused about any of that, then you definitely need to be here March 1st through 2nd in Dallas, Texas. It is a good time. It is a good show. And then we end the entire week ends with a separate event called the Denobi Awards. It is dentistry's Oscars, and it is a good time. It's where we celebrate 10 individual winners from dentistry around the world, and one dental team also wins. And this is celebrating unsung heroes in dentistry. It is quite an amazing time. So here we go, teledentistry. This is a spike. This is the Google search for March of 2020, telehealth, teledentistry. It's estimated that there will be over 1 billion telehealth visits in the US this year. And this is actually an old statistic for last year. So what is teledentistry? Just real quick, we're gonna speed right on through this. I have an entire day course lecture about this. Teledentistry, there's 4 different ways to use it. The first is what we're doing now, the face-to-face video chat. That's what most people think of. The asynchronous teledentistry is really the secret sauce. That's where you capture data at one point and you, the diagnosing provider looks at that data and diagnoses from it at a later point. A lot of hygiene checks can be completed this way. It's very fantastic. We also have remote patient monitoring and mHealth. Those 2 things we don't use as much in dentistry, but it is coming down the line, and we can dive into that offline if you want to in a little bit. But teledentistry, how do you use it? Well, you use it for triage, new patient checks, post-ops, hygiene checks, emergency visits, consultations. Teledentistry is huge when you're trying to reactivate your inactive patients. teledentistry is going to be even bigger as the baby boomers lose autonomy and cannot come to your practice anymore. This is going to be how you connect with them, right? Wouldn't you rather hang on to those baby boomers than let them go? So teledentistry is going to become huge for you when you want that. You know, back in the day, if you asked anyone in dentistry what mobile dentistry was, they would say, oh, it's great for public health. But now it's changing. Now our patients are asking for it, demanding it. So I couldn't help but put a couple pictures of sexy mobile dental units here. It's a great thing. You wouldn't even know that you're inside a mobile van. You can put a pod in a corporation parking lot, build it in, stay there for 3 months, come back 6 months later. You can treat the employees of that company. You can go to the street corners. You can go to patients' houses. This is one of the best forms of marketing out there, because if you take services to a patient's house, you know what all the neighbors will do, right? They'll look out. What's happening down there? What's happening in John's yard? What is that down there? It's one of the best forms of marketing, and it's pretty fun to deliver services off-site. And here's some portable services. If you're not interested in buying a van in the outset, that's perfectly fine. There's a lot you can do with portable dentistry. That's actually one of my favorite things to provide. So why are we talking about this? We're talking about this because the state of oral health around the world is crap, really. I mean, there are many words I could use there, but we're going to go with crap. Last year, the World Health Organization came out with this report called the Global Oral Health Status Report. And they put together a whole bunch of data about the status of oral health around the world, and it's what we expected. It's not very good. And they said there's 3 solutions to this problem. We need more access to dentistry, more providers, and more prevention. What this means is every single person who is a licensed clinician needs to work at the top of their license. What this means is we need to create easier access to dentistry. Right now, it's a privilege to get dental care. We need to make sure that we can take care to the patients to help them with prevention, to help them get out of pain. And this is a slide. This is an old slide, but I stuck it in here because it's very interesting. In 2015, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services came out with this projection, and they said that by 2025, which we're basically there will be a shortage of dentists and a surplus of hygienists. And this is exactly my point. We all need to work at the top of our licenses. We need to find creative ways to meet our patients, to provide the transparency, convenience, and flexibility, to do good to them, to help them get to better health. But also, we are business people. It's okay to make money off of our patients. We are in the business of dentistry. So we need to help our team maximize their roles so that we can be more productive, so that we can do more as business people as well, as business owners. Every time I present, I take about 5 minutes at the end and I go through products and services that you need to know about that are coming down the line. So we're almost finished here, but we're going to take a couple minutes just to talk about some of the most important ones for the future of dentistry. We'll click over some slides here. Okay, here is one that hasn't even launched yet. DentSeal Pro. On the outset, it looks like a sealant, right? But I will tell you, this is a sealant on steroids. This is Sealant 2.0. So let me tell you a little bit about it. Probably going to be launching around Chicago midwinter. If not sooner, we might do some pre-launch with it. And they've been so kind enough to give a QR code that leads to a landing page. If you want more information, you can fill out your information there. If you want a discount when it opens, just put my name in there, Melissa, in the subject line, and they'll give you a discount once it launches. But let me tell you about it first. So DentSeal Pro, it is a sealant, okay? But you don't have to etch the tooth to put it on. You kind of buff it on the tooth, and it looks like a clear shellac. It doesn't let any stain through. It doesn't let any bacteria through. It is hydrophilic, so the biofilm and the water repel from it, okay? You can put this on every surface of every tooth. It is clear, completely clear. You can put this on your kids' retainers. My 9-year-old has a retainer, and it is so gunky and stinky, and there's white everywhere, no matter how we clean it, right? You can put this on that to prevent it. You can wax your car with it. This is off-label use now, but you can wax your car with it, and you only just need a little bit of it. This is where dentistry is headed. We're talking about prevention. DentSeal, Sealant on steroids is exactly where we're headed, okay? So keep an eye out for that. This is another product that hasn't even launched yet. It will launch, I think, next week, LunaLite. So outside of digital radiography, there hasn't been any innovation in x-rays. Also outside of the AI when you read x-rays, right? But between that, there's been no innovation in x-rays until now. So LunaLite is a laser guided x-ray positioner. So if you're used to using XCPs, you don't need them anymore. You add this you put it on your cone head, and it gets the right angles for your patient. And there's a laser and it lines everything up, and you point and click and you're off and you have open contacts. If you use bisecting technique, you don't have to guess anymore. You know, even the best bisecting technique takers are guessing, right? So with this, it helps you take the guesswork out of taking x-rays. It's wonderful. And then this next product is another one of my favorites. This one is on the market and it is revolutionary. So we're talking about prevention. Prevention is the future of dentistry. Honex. It comes in a carpule like an etch or a sealant. It is a red liquid. It has been used in Europe for years. It was FDA approved just before COVID as a debridement tool. Dentists and hygienists can use this. How I use it is I use it on pretty much every patient that I'm cleaning their teeth. I put it on ahead of time under the gums on the tooth. What happens is you wait 30 seconds, and over those 30 seconds, Honex takes the water, it desiccates the water out of all good and bad bacteria and also diseased tissue. In 30 seconds, it clumps it all together, you rinse it away, and your patient is at baseline. Your patient has a chance at health. There's no more bad bacteria. The good bacteria will thrive. The bad bacteria will not come back for a little bit because there's nothing to feed off of. This is a fantastic tool. I mean, how many hygienists spend their day removing plaque, scaling and scaling and scaling? This takes it away, okay? This will work for about a week, and then after a week, your patient really needs to hone in on their flossing and brushing and their OHI skills. But this helps your patient get back to baseline and helps them have a chance at health, which is all that we dream for in dentistry, I'll tell you that. We already talked about AI for radiographs. We have scanners that you should be using. Cone beam, we have CAD/CAM, single visit dentistry that's on the rise. Here's another formulation that you need to know about too, silver diamine fluoride. I love anything that comes down the Elevate oral care line. Silver diamine fluoride I have in my own mouth. All of these products I try on my own mouth, right? Silver diamine fluoride has helped me retain my composites, my large composites in my back molars. Here's the thing, SDF is the only thing that we know that stops cavities. So if you are not using this and offering it to all of your patients with cavities, you are doing them a disservice. The one downside that we always hear complaints about is that it does turn the cavity black or brown. Well, we know that most decay is already black or brown anyway, right? One of the things people think is that this is only for public health use, and that is not true. There are many, many patients in your dental practices that would choose to have this at least on their back teeth if it can stop cavities. So please always give your patients the choice. This is a revolutionary tool as we talk about the future of dentistry. Almost done here. One of my favorite staffing platforms is OnDM, and they are more than a staffing platform, and here's why. Because all of their temps are W-2 employees of OnDM. They're getting paid time off, they're getting benefits. So if you utilize that temp, you know they're being taken care of. There's so much more coming down the line for OnDM. And please take heart. If you don't think they're in your area yet, please reach out to them. They can work magic on the back end to help you get the staff that you need. There's also another company that's another startup. It's called DifferentKind, and it's a patient review platform. So instead of Yelp, it's kind of like Yelp, but instead of just the patient writing anything, it's a guided process that helps give meaningful measurements. So it'll ask, hey, did you patient feel listened to in the office? What can the practice do to help you feel more cared for? And then DifferentKind will aggregate the data on the back end and spit out a report for you. And you'll understand how you can improve your practice to help retain your patients. These are magnificent tools. And here we have Simplify. We don't have time to talk about that, but Simplify is a chat bot that has a person on the end of it. We have smart mirrors that help you do real-time video and audio and teledentistry with it. It's an amazing tool. I love that one. Okay, so here we are. If I'm going to see you in March, you're welcome to use this promo code at the Mobile and Teledentistry Conference at the Denobi Awards. You're welcome to reach out to me at any point. But my question to you, what is fad and what is future, and does it even matter? The biggest takeaway from today is that we are going through a paradigm shift. And whether we like it or not, we need to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our patients if we want to be successful as clinicians and if we want to be successful as business owners. I touched on a lot of information in the last half an hour, and I am talking a mile a minute, and that is fine. I'm happy to dive deeper. For any of you that wants more, please reach out, please connect with me. I'm here to help you take the next step. So thank you to Weave, and thank you to you all for being here today.
Thank you, Melissa. That was a fantastic presentation, and thank you for everyone that's joined us today. We appreciate you joining us, and until next time, we will see you soon. Thanks, everyone.